On today's video, I'll be showing you two methods in regards to wiring your compressor to your condensing unit. Make sure you pull your disconnect before doing any service to your condensing unit. Here we have three wires that are coming off of your compressor. You have one that goes to the on your capacitor, and then you have one that goes to the left side of your contactor and one that comes off the right side of your contactor. Now, the reason I don't really refer to the colors is because sometimes when you're dealing with different systems, the colors may vary. So you always want to use in your mind the wires, and you want to refer back to the markings on the condenser and on the compressor. So here I remove my wires from my compressor. Here we have our cap. We're going to remove this cap, and now we're going to remove our harness to our compressor. So on your compressor, you'll have three different terminals. You'll have a common, a run, and a start. Sometimes it's labeled T1, T2, and T3. Now generally, sometimes if you look where you have your terminals coming off of your compressor, there'll be three different leads. And you can see T1 is common, T2 is start, and T3 is run. Now you can see here, the second place that you can look is going to be on the back of the cap covering your harness. And you can see here, T1 is common, T2 is start, and T3 is run. So here we have the wiring harness that connects to the compressor. What happens a lot of times is if someone makes a repair to the wiring, what they'll do is they'll cut the harness and then they'll just rewire each lead going from the actual wire to the compressor. So if you don't have this harness, you'll have to determine which one's your start, which one's your run, and which one's your common. For some reason you don't have the harness and you only have the wires, and let's say you pulled the wires and you forgot to mark down which terminal it came from, you can always refer back to the schematic that's going to be on the tag on your condensing unit. This is the panel that was covering my capacitor and my contactor, and you can see here this is the connection diagram. So right here we have our compressor. So here you can see we have our start. So here we have the start up top, and we can see the start has a wire which is indicated by the blue going from the start terminal to your right here your capacitor going onto the terminal. Next we have our common off of our compressor that's indicated by a black wire, and that is going to go to your contactor here on the right side. Here lastly we have our compressor. We have the run, the R, that's indicating by the yellow wire, and that's going to go to your contactor as well on the left side. Here if I had my compressor, I looked on the inside, I saw where the common, the run, and the start was. Or if you looked at your cap and you saw where your common and your run, reason you didn't have this harness and each wire was cut and connected individually, then you would know based off what your markings were, you would connect those wires and then you would go trace each lead to its proper position. Here if I look down at my compressor, this is my start. I would know that one wire would go to start, and then I would take that lead, and that lead based off the schematics would connect to my capacitor on the terminal. Here I would have one wire, this is coming off of my start on my compressor, and I would connect that to my So here you can see my capacitor on the top right there, it reads H-E-R-M. Next we would look here, this is going to be my run, my T3, my R terminal. I would connect my one wire from my R terminal, which is going to be indicated on my schematics by the yellow wire. I would connect that wire to my contactor here on the left side. Here we have lastly our common. So if you didn't have that harness, you would have one wire plugging into your common right here. that would go in to the right side of your contactor. And here you can look at the schematics. You have your common compressor, and you can see that's running to the right side of my contactor. This video was a help. If it was informational, please subscribe.